So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Albina Cholak, and as you know already, I'm from Octopus Labs. And today I want to share with you a story on our design transformation. And why is this so important to me? Why I wanted to speak with you about it? Is that because as designers, we faced a lot of challenges. Keeping up with new technologies, having no time for research, proving the value of design to our clients. But there is one more particular challenge that caused me the most struggle, that despite the clear need for good design, companies are just not ready for it. And if you want to make something great, it's just impossible. So it made me thinking of how might I create great customer experience in non-design friendly environment. So we've all been inspired by companies like Airbnb, Spotify, Uber, right? But you know what the truth is? Those companies make up just 5% out of all companies in where we design. So what about the rest 95% of companies? Companies that you design just as a process, a way to design products and services. Or companies that use design just as a form, final styling part, as it was in my company. And companies with no design at all. So in my company, we managed to level up, thanks God. And today I want to share this story with you to leave you with mindset, process, tools that you need to have to cope with the same challenge next time you face it. But it's all started, let's start from the beginning, right? So this is my office. 2 years ago, I joined Octopus Labs as a UX designer. And Octopus Labs is an innovation hub of a big financial institution, Octopus Group of Financial Services, B2B services. And my department, Octopus Labs, was created to respond to a biggest director's fear, getting outdated and not keeping up with fintech competitors. So 2 years ago, we had 150 tech people and 5 designers against almost 600 financial professionals. Sounds really challenging for me. And if I look back to that time, I felt like that. It was very uncertain. Designers were completely disconnected from the business strategy. We had zero research, and we didn't collaborate even with each other. Designers were invited just to a final part, styling part, to make things look pretty, you know. So the only impact that we had as designers was limited to bringing beautiful visual language. And back then, my company wasn't even thinking about design as a powerful method to solve complex problems. And this disconnect between my perception of design and the perception of design in my company started to paralyze me. And this had to change. But all the changes started from the mindset. Because I couldn't change my organization, I had to change the way I think. And I'll share with you one example. In one of my first projects, I was responsible for redesigning an onboarding flow for our financial product for investment. So I collected some basic information. I went into my design cave and came up with a very clever idea. So I prototyped it, and I shared this proudly, presented it to my manager. But my manager didn't share my opinion, and he told me how to change the whole thing, and I went to redesign it. So I was very sad, almost depressed, but then I realized that I wasn't given a business context. I didn't have all the technical details, and I didn't have a strong voice of our customers to prove that they're gonna love my idea. Because the situation is, our customers are financial advisors, over 60 plus, and the only way they communicate with our organization is through sales. So this and other similar cases made me thinking, okay, so what is the role of designers in my organization? Because the way I used to see it was design as the core of everything we do, right? In all the diagrams, design is always in the center, and everything is circulating around design. And this reminds me of something. The way we used to see the Earth, where everything is circulating around it, right? So it was time for me to grow up and realize design is not the center of the universe. I'm not the answer to everything. And it's all about creating great customer experience. And believe it or not, but everyone in our team, one way or another, influence the way our customers experience our business offerings, right? So, and everyone in our team, in the whole organization, has a unique knowledge about our customers. And it doesn't mean that everyone is a designer. It does mean that as a designer, I was simply losing my power in isolation. And there is something special about design. This is us who know, who collect all that information, and then all the ideas, bring all the people together, and then design and translate business offerings to our customers for different mediums, various websites, applications, interfaces. And the most important part of it, we need to know our customers better than everybody else. This is the strongest and the only one voice that we have as designers. But how to collect precious customer feedback if you do not have access to your users' customer group, right? So you need to get clever. So I started to analyze all the angry emails, talking to different teams, analyzing feedback platforms for where financial advisors are communicated with each other. But most importantly, I started to shadow and talk with our sales and our operational team. And based on all this information, I have created first personas, a first basic understanding and representation of who our customers really are. So I was really proud of it. I was finally more confident in that, okay, I know something about our customer group, but I had a very hard time making business empathize with our customers. So I felt like a business psychologist who know how to ask right questions, understand the problem, but I clearly couldn't convince my business to make this partnership work better because customer demands growing fast and things that worked for them before didn't work anymore. And Don Norman has a brilliant point here. He told us designers need to apply human-centered design, right? To understand our customers. But who is our main customer? This is our boss's boss. Interesting. So it simply means that we as designers need to understand and empathize with our business owners, our clients. So this is what I did. So I went out of my I went out of my comfort zone of design bubble where all my success was measured by amount of likes on Dribbble, right? And I exposed myself to a world of business, of revenues, of how the commercial value is created, to understand what is happening on that side. And I fell in love with the business. I went out to different business departments. I sat with them together to listen, to see how they perform on a day-to-day tasks, and what are the pains they have. And I understood why they cannot empathize with business. They have problems themselves. So I even took a business course on property financial lending to understand the terminology, and when I communicated the design, I used the language they can understand. And when I had a hard time to convince my business owners to align the vision, I used human-centered design, empathy maps. I mapped all the challenges, pain points of the main stakeholders to understand how to communicate with them so they're gonna listen. And finally, I used a very powerful tool provided to us by Service Design. It's a service blueprint. And what is really incredible about this tool that this has two main components. It helps designers to concentrate not only on customer journey, but also on all the business processes that need to happen in order to facilitate great customer experience in each touch point, from website to emails. Because you cannot create great customer experience if the business processes is broken. So you need to understand that. So my main point is here that you need to empathize with your business as much as with your customer. And this is something that made all the difference for me. So I finally understood how shall I approach designing in my environment, but the process was just terrible. We didn't have a process, I'll be honest with you. So we all know that design process can be very messy. You start with a problem, and then you're going through this chaos of unknowns, and then, ideally, you're moving through the research, and then concepts, design, and ideally, you crystallize an amazing solution. Yes, but in reality, our simply intuitive process was less and less capable of accommodating challenges we faced in our complex financial world. So we were our managers were jumping to solutions too fast, and then it was all yet to build. At the end, we had endless loops of meaningless iteration, waste of time, and lots of changes on UI process. It was very painful, and it felt like we were, as designers, running behind this development train to be able to at least make things look pretty, right? But it wasn't good. I just want to watch it till the end. Yeah. So in one of our projects, we were designing a hub, an investment platform for, again, our customers, financial advisors, 60 plus. So it was good. 6 months of incredible work of designers. All the screen was ready, and before or almost around final presentation, key stakeholders realized that they don't really know and they are not aligned of what this product should be doing in the future, and they were arguing, and the project got closed. So our design team was shocked, and we said no more opinions in design. That's it. So, and fair enough, as humans, we need order and we need clarity. And that's how we perform better. That's how we operate as society. We have an ethic norm, we have law, religion. And in design world, a lot of great minds made an attempt to define a perfect standard for a design process. And fair enough, all that methodologies worked perfectly for many organizations. But the truth is every organization is different, and it simply didn't work in mine. At that time, we've been already 12 designers with the UX researcher and our new head of design, and we needed a process. So what we did, and it was us, a design team, who initiated the whole thing. So we did a lot of workshops, and we communicated with developers, with business owners, with researchers, with different stakeholders that we had in the whole organization to collect all their opinions, ideas, pain points, and what basically worked and didn't work throughout the development process. And based on that, we proposed a discovery process. A space for designers to understand what the real problem really is, and a space for experiments and iterations and fails and research. And I'll explain you step by step how we do it. So first, and the most important part, we start with framing. We collect all the people together, all the people who is involved in this particular project, and together we identify what are the business objectives this project is gonna address, what are the success metrics, and then we use very creative exercises to envision an ideal customer experience with no boundaries, what the final solution might look like. It's customer letter and PR release. Finally, we map all the stakeholders who will be involved in this project, who will provide information, who will be just signing off designs. And then we define milestones of how long this project might take. It can be from 2 hours to 2 months or 3 months, depending on the complexity and the risk of this project. So from now on, from the first day, we document everything. I know designers, we don't really like to write, but this is the only way you can prove and show this is what we started, this is what we all agreed, and there is no more discussions and opinions. So we keep all that in one place, and then once we understood where we're going, we started to understanding our customers. And then, for this reason, we first and foremost define the target market we want to concentrate on, and then we empathize with this target market to understand what are the pain points, needs, and then based on the value proposition canvas, we define distinct user groups. And usually it's around 3, 4, try to do no more. And then once that's done, we go into Lean and Business Model Canvas. I know it's not really a design tool, but it worked perfectly to understand how design benefits are correlated with business benefits. And for this reason, because it still was quite hard for us to get to our customers, we invited everybody from sales team, operations team, marketing team to get and download their hats and get all the information from them. So, next phase, once you understood your customers inside out, you go in and you generate as many ideas as possible. And then once you selected the best ideas, you started to test those ideas and collect evidence. First, evidence that your customer will gonna buy this solution. Then, that your customer will gonna understand how to use it. Then you move and run many different experiments to understand that your developers actually can build it. And finally, you develop a market plan with some potential numbers of what kind of a business benefit might look like. And on this period, I think it's very amazing that designers have this power to visualizing. So every time we had new ideas, I would just print out all the low fidelity wireframes, I'll gather everybody, and I'll get as much feedback as possible. And that was beneficial. And lastly, but not because of the meaning, you need to test all the assumptions together with your user. And the most importantly on this phase is not to fall in love with your ideas. So at that point, when you collected evidence, it's time to make a decision whether this solution is worth building or you need to change the direction. And if any of the evidence is not enough, if, for example, developers cannot build this, or there is no value for business, it's time for change. And you're going through another loop of discovery process. But if it's all good, then you go and you build it. And what is really interesting about this, and why delivery loves discovery, is because delivery fills your backlog with meaningful tasks and a solution that's really worth building. And the UI process became such an enjoyable part with the clarity and just less and less iteration. So this is how it looks when it's documented. We use Miro, or real-time board, and it was such a beneficial for our team because now we know step by step what to do to arrive to the right destination and get a good solution. But I want to tell you and share you a story of how we made it successful, because even though the whole design team used the process, it was great, but without an amazing job that was done by our head of design, who went and made this discovery process a part of our official development cycle that made all the managers report based on this discovery process. And now the company was aligned and know what is going to happen and how design process is going to look like. So this is how our process has transformed. And the main insight for me was that you need to design your own process. And you cannot find it in books or methodologies. It's going to come from within, from inside of your company. And you need to make it official. So in our organization, now we had a right mindset. We had an amazing process. And it was time to see what kind of changes we can expect from the whole system. So in my last project, I was leading case management, an internal tool for managing property loans. So I followed right process and everything was great. I was working very closely with business and we got a very good feedback. It was very easy to use. People loved it. It boosted their creativity. We've seen an increase in usage. Everything is great. But then the business realized that this digital tool will require from the business department changes in their business processes to align and enable digitalization. So extra work. So this project got closed. That was very tough. But then it showed me and I learned the lesson that despite a very good process, a great mindset, collaboration throughout the process, as a designer, you still exist in tight business context. And this system that should be designed as well. And the main problem of this system, it's people. Because technology, they changes very quickly, but people don't. And that's the problem because they need to be willing to change. Otherwise, it's going to be a constant resistance. So what we decided to do in our design team, we got very creative. We went outside our department and we started to host lots of workshops. So even during this year, I facilitated over, 50 workshops, and it was for different reasons. Educating on the power of design thinking methodology, learning different tools like empathy maps or user journeys, working with your team on new features throughout the workshop. And then we invited everybody from business owners, operations, sales team, and people loved it. So I went a step further and I have created a design toolkit. So I collected all the best design thinking methodology, put them on the phases of the design process, and share this with everybody. So everybody can use it, take it to their business departments, and solve their problems. I also did the printed cards, and then on there you can find why to use a specific tool, how to use it, what problems this tool gonna solve for you, and how to link it with other tools in my design toolkit. And that was a massive success for our design team. People started to send us feedback on how they love the design methodology, how this powerful tool gonna change and make a big difference going forward, and how everybody should learn this methodology. So we get very excited, and I think the next step that helped us to shift an organization perspective was a purely design power of bringing human insights inside an organization. So we collected all the people, like research, understanding, and constantly feed our organization with that information. Because only that, we can shift and generate much better ideas inside the company. And then as a result, you will get a better strategy and better design of touch points. And finally, great customer experience. So a magic happened. We finally seen an increase in usage of our products, in higher customer score, an increase in the amount of likes on Trustpilot, and also less and less calls to our operations team. So we were very happy, and I'll just come back to first point I make. So how can you design great customer experience in non-design friendly environments? It's simply, you need to show your organization through the eye of your customers. And then your organization will be more willing to make an extra step towards a better design. So the morale, really, of all the transformation is that you need to have the mindset of empathizing with your business as much as with your customers. You need to design your process within and inside your organization, and you need to show your organization through the eye of your customer. But the final point that I want to leave you with is that the next step is that designers need to get to a strategic level to help companies to design a better vision and to finally decide on what products and strategies and services need to be built at the first place. That's it from me. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm now happy to take any questions.